And if you're fortunate when you have a key employee, we entertain an ESOP where that key employee would start earning over a 10-year period and essentially absorb that business. But we unfortunately did not have interest. We had some people that were moving. We had some people that were retiring. I did not have that key employee at the time, but there's so many different ways. They're a little bit more complicated and expensive to set up, but that's something that you may want to entertain if you have that.
ESOPs don't make any kind of sense unless you have a cash flow north of 750 EBITDA.
Oh, really?
They are horrendously expensive to set up. And then you've got maintenance costs. You have to get an evaluation done every year. It is really not something that should be a part of a small business conversation. And it's kind of one of the things that kind of, I notice this all the time in online content where people will say, like, here's how you can sell your business. You can sell to a private equity group. You can create an ESOP. You can do this. You can do that. And you know what's always missing from the list? To an individual entrepreneur. But in fact, the vast majority of small businesses are sold to an individual entrepreneur. But that's not reflected in the stuff that people see online. I really would not like people to get sidetracked by these various ideas. Like selling the business to your employee is a very different kind of scenario than doing an ESOP. And I've seen a ton of people sell their business to an employee or a small group of employees, maybe 2 or 3 people that are part of the management and supervisory team. Those can make really good deals because banks love it because they consider those people inside. They already know the business. They understand the day-to-day operation. And they are not going to have a lot of the worries, concerns, or fears that a lot of outside buyers will have because they're living in the business. Like they really do know what's going on. And if you show them some stuff on paper that doesn't make sense, they'll probably sniff it out.
That's good to know. Yeah, it's been years and years, but I just remembered the expenses were on the ESOP. So yeah, you have to look at all different angles and benefits, timeframes, and the cost. To your point on Instagram, I remember there was some accounting advice. You should just switch to they would just make a blanket statement, switch to an S corp, or it was an S corp from an LLC. And the break even is just, they would just throw a number out. And it's like, well, there's a lot more to that, and it's doing, in my opinion, almost a disservice if you're acting on that advice. You really need to find a professional to do a full review, especially depending on what state you live in. Makes all the difference, as our laws are different from state to state. So yeah, I agree. Don't get your advice from Instagram. I don't know. That'll summarize things, or at least talk to that professional to back it up. So any last words as we kind of conclude the show? And it's been exciting. I've learned a lot, and looking forward to your comments. And you can definitely send comments and questions, and we can all get back to you. But any other kind of last words of wisdom in this 3-phase entrepreneurial journey?
We've shared a lot of positives and negatives and challenges and benefits. I want to make sure that I ended, at least, and I think Rocky, David, and you will agree, Giuseppe, I love being a business owner. As Rocky said, I can't imagine, if I need to, I will, but I can't imagine working for somebody else again. While it has its challenges, and you have to have the right mindset, and we've shared here in these 3 conversations what it takes to get in, to get out, to manage it well, to make it profitable. It's the best thing I ever did in my life, and it's so rewarding, not just from a financial perspective, although it's got to be there, but just in the freedoms that it has given me and in my life. And having worked in the corporate world for many years, I can compare it and contrast it, right? So if you have the right opportunity and you're in the right position in life and you're taking the right level of risk, there are no guarantees, but boy, what an opportunity it is to be able to be a business owner.
Yeah. There's all kinds of wise things people say about people that reach the end of their life and the things that they may regret. I'm so happy that I took the leap, and I took the leap a couple times. Because I jumped back and forth across the fence a few times over the course of my adult life. So I was an employee, then I owned my own business, and then I ended up being an employee again because the business didn't work out, and then I ended up back in being in business for myself again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's a journey of personal growth. And we mentioned earlier, I think in the first chapter of this conversation, someone used the bankrupt comment in reference to something. When I had my business brokerage office open, we used to have an intake form for people that wanted to sell their business. And most of these people had successful businesses with good profitability, and that's why I wanted to list them for sale. And one of the questions on the intake form was, have you ever declared business or personal bankruptcy? Almost a third of them checked yes. And when I asked the question, it always was some version of this story. Yes, I was young, I was inexperienced, I got into something I didn't understand, I went too far, I over leveraged, I borrowed too much, and boom, the bad things happened. And then I used those experiences to build the business I own today. And it just kind of highlighted the fact that you can get into trouble with business. Absolutely. You are going to learn. If you are open to learning, then you can make this into a successful path. And if you're open to learning from other people's advice and other people's experience, then you'll probably do even better.
Well said.
Well said.
Just remember one thing. The purpose of business is to make money. Everything else is solvable once you make money. You have to make money. And I think too often business owners forget that. If it's not making you money, it's not business. It's a wonderful hobby. Enjoy it. Have fun. It's not a business.
Like that. Love that. Yeah. I always say bet on yourself or you're going to regret it. Explore it. That doesn't mean you should own and move forward with the business, but you owe it to yourself. I always say when you're much older in time and you reflect on life, you want to reduce the what ifs or the should have. I truly believe in exploring it. Maybe it's diving in full time. Maybe it's a partnership, franchise or startup, whatever that vehicle looks like to you. I encourage you at least to explore, talk to those professionals, talk to the individuals that have owned businesses and not the Thanksgiving dinner with maybe a family member that's never owned a business in their life, but talk to those owners, find the good, the bad, the everything in between, and see how that kind of factors into your life and the life you're looking to create. But I truly believe you owe it to yourself. This has been awesome. This is my group. When you ask about our group and the people I go to, and these are my go-tos. We've been on each other's shows. I consider everyone on the 3 shows we just did personal friends of mine, advisors. Sometimes I just have to call someone and complain. So I know I've done that with Henry and Rocky and actually and David, but we appreciate the friendships. We appreciate the advice. And I encourage everyone listening in, if there's something, a topic specifically you want to get into more of a conversation, learn a little bit more, reach out to all of us. All our contact information and website info will be on the show notes as well as the blogs, however you're finding this online. And we appreciate all your support. And thanks for listening in. It's been fun, guys. We'll talk soon.
That's a wrap on the 3 Phases of Entrepreneurship Summit: finding a business, cash flow management, and selling your business. Go back and watch all 3 episodes to get the complete playbook. And when you're ready to take the first step, the link to book a free call with Giuseppe is in the description. Subscribe now for weekly franchise insights, expert interviews, and strategies to build the life you actually want.